Welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly and I am the crafter behind Holly's Hobbies. Today I'm going to show you how I used fabric, rhinestones, and an epoxy-free product called Hyperion to make this super cute Halloween tumbler. Off camera, I have sanded and spray painted black a tumbler, and I am right now just squaring off my fabric piece that I'm going to wrap around my tumbler. This tumbler measured 8 inches long and 9.5 inches wide. So I squared off my fabric to match those dimensions, and I'm going to put a layer of DecoArt triple thick gloss glaze that I got from Amazon in a starting point over the top of my tumbler, lay my fabric down very carefully, press down, and then work my way around the tumbler, applying small sections of the same gloss glaze and pressing down firmly my fabric as I work around. Now, I do sew and I quilt, and I know that fabrics have a stretchy side and a non-stretchy side. What I should have done is made sure this stretch on this tumbler on the fabric stretched from top to bottom, so vertically rather than horizontally. So when I laid my fabric down, because the stretch was pulling left to right, I had way too much overhang on that seam, and I do have to wind up cutting that later, but I'm not going to cut it until I coat the entire tumbler with the gloss glaze. And then right now I'm pulling it up. There's a lot, see all that extra I have to cut off. I'm pulling up that excess before the glaze hardens too much. So when I pull it up, there is a teensy bit of unraveling that happens, and I just fix that when I apply the final layer of the gloss glaze. When I apply it with my brush, I just make sure and lay down those little shreds of fabric that are peeking up. So in the end, after my final coat of glaze, there's still a seam that I don't like, but I decided I would rather have the seam showing an overlap on the seam rather than cutting too tight to the edge and then exposing the spray painted black stainless underneath. So, I just made a choice, and that's what I came up with. So the seam is visible, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with living with that unless I want to strip the whole thing. And I have stripped tumblers when I laid down the fabric before, and it is a sticky, icky mess. So I didn't want to strip it. And the design I have in mind anyway is going to cover up most of that, so I just went with it. So after my gloss glaze dried completely, I am taking a chip brush, and I have a center point that I have in mind for where I want to place a sticker cowl. And so I am applying in diagonal strokes, kind of feather-like, this Tack-It. And when the Tack-It dries, I'm going to take that foil sheet, press it down, and kind of use a squeegee to press it in all directions to make it stick to my tumbler. So I'm going to apply that foil sheet to the top and the bottom of my tumbler. And this did take quite a while. I actually cut out a lot of this video from me applying because when I went over the sections too many times, it actually started to pull up some of the foil. And so I had to wait in between, apply a little bit more Tack-It, and then put the foil down again. So this was quite a long process. And rather than torture you and have you sit and watch the whole thing, I just sped up the video, and then I cut out clips that I didn't think were necessary. And same process for the bottom of the tumbler. So apply the Tack-It and then apply the foil over the top when the Tack-It is a little bit tacky. Okay, for the coating of this tumbler, I decided to use Hyperion. In the video, a couple videos back, I used Grand Finale. Both of these products are water-based and non-toxic. Totally different companies. Grand Finale is made by Crystalac. Hyperion, ooh, I don't know. I'm going to have to look and see. I got mine from Grateful Glitters. And they arrived on the same day. So I wanted to play with both of them. This is the first and only tumbler that I've done so far with Hyperion. So just know that when you're seeing this video, I've been working on this tumbler for about a week because it takes a long time to use the water-based products because you have to do more layers. However, there is just a 2-hour dry time, and I'm not back at work yet, so I still have my summers to, coat these tumblers and give it the time it needs. And to give Hyperion a fair chance, I wanted to use it over a textured surface. This tumbler already has fabric and foil on it, and in a second it's going to have a clear decal, as well as later in the video it's going to get a transfer, a rub-on transfer. So this is going to have a lot of texture to it, and so there's going to be lots of layers before this tumbler is finished. So I'll be able, by the end of this video, I'll be able to tell if I love Hyperion or if it's just so whatever. So right now I am applying the decal. It says Drink Up Witches. And this is a clear decal, so what's going to happen is the print that you see on the decal is not going to show up super bright, and that's on purpose. I don't want it to be a really bright decal. I have a plan for this decal. So when I apply it, everything's going to be kind of muted. Oh, and also you never want to apply a clear decal over a base that is not glossy. So before I apply this decal, I did give this tumbler a sand just to bump down any overly textured areas. And then I applied 2 more layers of Hyperion before this decal goes on. So I'm measuring. I'm always so nervous that my decals are going to be crooked, and I obsess about it, and I measure and I measure and I measure, and I obsess ridiculously. It's not, I don't know why I do that, but I can't stop. So I'm measuring over and over again, and then I apply my decal, and then I'm going to, over the top of that, I'm going to apply a rub-on transfer drip. It's a gold colored drip, and it probably would have been easier if I just cut vinyl and applied that, but I really loved the color, and it's like a semi transparent sort of transfer, and it's really sparkly, so I really liked it a lot and I wanted to use it, but it was a pain in the rear to apply. This sticker cowl, I believe I got it at the end of the season last year. I really can't remember when I ordered this, or even if I ordered it. It's possible that it came in some sort of subscription box that I had. I really don't know. But it is from Gracefully Created, and this drip rub-on transfer is from Southern Belle Glitters, and this came on a huge sheet of a whole bunch of different matching theme sort of rub-on transfers. So I've used transfers before, and they came off very easily. So, but I did use those over an epoxy based tumbler. So I don't know if that's the difference. I don't know if this transfer just didn't want to stick to the Hyperion. I really don't know. But it took me a very, very embarrassing amount of time to rub this off of the tumbler. So what I wound up doing, I'm going to cut off this clip short too, because it's way too long to add on here. But what I wound up doing is just sort of peeling it as it was still loose and then pressing down over the top, and then it stuck really well. So the getting it to separate from that sheet was the hard part. Getting it to stick to the tumbler really wasn't difficult. So I'm wrapping this all the way around, and then where it meets up at the end, I have to just kind of cut it with my scissors just a little bit to make it match up and lay flat. And I am going to put rhinestones over the top of this. I've never rhinestoned a drip. I'm very new at rhinestoning. I think I've only done 2 lids. And so this will be interesting, but it's going to be really neat looking if it turns out. So as I'm recording this, my tumbler is still spinning and drying and getting ready for the rhinestoning. So I've rhinestoned the lid already. but I have not rhinestoned the drip. So I'll be working on that here shortly. I got these rhinestones in it was one of their PDB Creative Studios puts out a really neat artistic sort of craft box like 2 or 3 times a year. I'm not really sure how often they do it. And this came in that box along with a lot of other really cool goodies. So it's been sitting there and I haven't used it along with so many other things. And this mix is gorgeous. So I had to use it. I'm looking at the lid of the tumbler that I am using for this project. And what I decided to do is use those big flat pearl stones to wrap around the side of the lid, and then in the little spaces between the half pearl stone rhinestones, I'm putting some smaller stones in between. So that's what I did first, and I let it dry. And then on top of the lid, I just put, I guess you call it the scatter method, just random pieces that fit. So I would choose some big, some small, just wherever they fit on the entire lid of the tumbler. So this took me, man, I was watching Stranger Things when I was doing it. So I got a little distracted and lost track of time. But I think on my recorded, I used my phone to record, and I believe it said it took me 2 hours to rhinestone this lid. So, like I said, I'm still a beginner. I lost count of how many coats of Hyperion I put on this tumbler. I want to say it was maybe 12 coats of Hyperion. And I have to say, I really love it. It dries very quickly and a very clear, it doesn't leave any filmy residue, and it's very hard. I really like it a lot, so I'm going to keep using it. I want to say I used total for this tumbler about 3 ounces of Hyperion, so I don't know if that's normal. So my bottle was a 16-ounce bottle, and so I used about no, it was a 12-ounce bottle, and I used about a quarter of that, I think. Man, maybe I used more than that. Anyway, I really like it. So what I'm doing now is I am taking PDB Creative Studio's Fall Mix Rhinestones, and I am using a mixture of the gold, dark, and bronzy colors to place around the edge in a straight line. So I'm picking rhinestones that are a fairly good size, maybe SS10 if I'm guessing, maybe SS12, and then just lining them up. So I'm not going to use the honeycomb method. I'm going to use the scatter method, but I want to get that very first line right next to the rim straight so that it doesn't look weird when I put on my lid that also has straight rhinestones. So I'm just pressing those down and I'm letting those sit a little bit. And while those are sitting and drying, I'm going to flip my tumbler over and start working on the words that says witches. So for witches, I am using rhinestones from PDB Creative Studios again, and this color is green black. Ooh, let me check that color. I want to say it's green black AB. Black green AB rhinestones. I'm using sizes SS6 and SS10, I believe. Yes, 6 and 10. So I'm just lining the words with the green. I didn't want to use black because I thought black would be too boring, because the drink up is going to be in black, and I wanted to pull some green shades from the green in the fabric, and I thought that the black green rhinestones would be perfect, and they really were. It looks so pretty. So I'm just going to speed this up super quickly and then get the word witches done with those rhinestones, and then flip my tumbler back around and then continue working up the drip lines with a combination of rhinestone. So I'm going to use a scatter method with all sizes ranging from SS6 all the way to SS 16 maybe. I don't know what the sizes are in this fall mix. So this actually went fairly quickly. I did it, I just sat and worked on it while I was watching TV. And again, this took about 2 hours, which is weird because the lid itself took about 2 hours, but I am getting faster and I'm getting a little bit better. The one thing that is still really difficult for me when rhinestoning is my eyes. My eyes do not see all those little gaps very well. and I bought a little magnifier, but it doesn't work, so I have to return it. So maybe I just might get a pair of those cheapo reading glasses that you can go to Walmart, get some reading glasses. Maybe that'll help me see. So what I actually had to do is stand up once the glue started to dry a little bit, hold the tumbler up to the light, and then I could see if there were little gaps. So yeah, my eyes are really straining. But it's getting funner. It's fun because I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it and not moving so slowly. So this was a really fun project, and I learned a lot from it. So I'm starting at the bottom where those rhinestones are lined up, and I'm just gonna work my way up toward the grip, and toward the tip of the drip, and I'm gonna stop next to the letters D for drink and the U for up, because before I continue rhinestoning those with the various gold shades of rhinestones, I have to rhinestone those little teeny words in black. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and then we'll just get to the part where I'm rhinestoning the words. I forgot to mention though, I did pour another brand of rhinestones onto my paper. They're also gold. They're called Champagne Stone, and those are from the Glitter Heart Co. So those are some really pretty stones that mixed right in with PDB's Creative Studio Fall Mix. Just blended right through, or right in with them, and they were the perfect size for the fillers. I don't know what size they are though. Maybe SS12? I'm just guessing. I really don't know. Maybe I shouldn't guess. Also, the little containers that I dumped the stones out of that I wrote numbers on, those are just little nail rhinestone cases that I got from Amazon. I went ahead and linked those below as well. And what I did is for each of the lids, I just put numbers on them. So I think the smallest for most of these stones is SS6. So I have a lot of SS6. SS 8, 10, and 12, and then some 16. So I just wrote the numbers on the lids so I know what sizes they are. And that kind of helps me organize when I'm trying to use the same color to fill in little areas. It's easier for me to do it that way. So here's the progress picture. This is what I have so far. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue until that's all done, and then kind of wait till the glue dries, look at it in the bright light, and then adjust as needed. You can see in the light right here, there's little sparkles throughout the black fabric of the tumbler. Those sparkles came from the rub-on, the transfer foil sheets that I put on here. And when I used my brush with Hyperion, those foil glitter pieces kind of transferred throughout the entire tumbler. And it looks like I used an additive in my Hyperion, and I did not. That's just a glitter from the foil. So I thought that was pretty cool. Last step is I'm putting glue in a syringe to get those little teeny tiny letters coated for the drink up and apply those black rhinestones. I noticed that the eye on Witch was crooked, so I pulled off a couple of those rhinestones and I straightened that out, and it didn't even phase the Hyperion coating. So that's a big plus for Hyperion too. Here's the final product, and it turned out, I love it. I'm keeping this one for myself. It turned out better than I thought it would. And the rhinestoning is getting easier for me, and I'm having more fun doing it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave any questions or comments below, and I will answer those as soon as I see that you've commented. And thank you so much for watching.